Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you're having a great Tuesday so far. Um, Today's video covers packet number 4, day 7 of your packet that we're currently working on. Thank you to those of you who sent work in for last week, week 1 of packet 4. At the end of this week, you're still going to send us 2 pieces of work from each subject. That's 2 from reading, 2 from writing, 2 from math, and 2 from content. 8 in all. And Mr. Humble sent an email about that incentive program. So for every assignment that you turn in, that is how many times your name gets put into the raffle to possibly win a KFC dinner. The maximum is 8 because that's the maximum number of assignments you're submitting. So that's a great opportunity to turn some work in and possibly get some yummy food. So if we look at day 7 of your packet, it starts off with some phonological awareness. It says, say the following words out loud to your student. Ask your student to put a thumbs down if the word has a blend at the beginning, or a thumbs up has a blend at the beginning, or a thumbs down if it does not. And just as a reminder, it says you can be looking at this too. Our blends, I'm going to share my screen. Right here on this blend card, we have L blends, S blends, R blends. And remember, a blend is when we have 2 letters, 2 consonants, and we hear both of their sounds. Digraphs are when we have 2 letters and they give us only 1 sound. So that's like sh, ch. That's only 1 sound, even though it's 2 letters. Blends give us both sounds. Broom, I hear the B and the So if you need to review these blends, you can before we do this. But it says, so your parent will say the words out loud to you, and then they will ask you to put a thumbs down if the word has a blend at the beginning, or a thumbs down if it does not. So for the first one, the word is crab. Think about those R blends. Crab. At the beginning, do we hear 2 consonants and hear 2 sounds? Crab. So I would give a thumbs up because that is a blend. So your parent or adult will say the word to you, and you can repeat it to yourself to think, and then give a thumbs up if you think there's a blend in that word, and a thumbs down if you think there is not. So, and then again, use that blend chart if you need to, that's at the end of your packet. The next piece says, your parent or sibling or whoever's doing this with you will say the sounds below and ask the students to blend them together to say the word. So the adult would say, I'll do the first one for you. Slide. And you will blend it together and say the word slide. So they are going to break up words into their sounds, and your job is to blend them together and say the word all together. And that's all out loud. You're not writing any of that down. For reading, it says choose a fiction story and read together. Use the 5-finger retelling resource in this packet as a guide. Ask your child to orally retell the story. So that means out loud by talking. After you read the fiction story, you need to retell the story. And you can use the 5-finger retelling page at the end of this packet as a guide for you. When you retell a story, you need to talk about the characters, setting, the problem that happens, the events, which are the big important things in the story, and then the solution, which is how the problem is solved. Those are the things that you need to include when you retell a story. And it's a fiction story that you should have read. And then you're going to out loud practice. You can use your fingers too for the 5-finger retelling those important parts of the story to who you read the book with. And like I said, at the end of the packet, there is that 5-finger retelling page that you can reference if need be. And we're going to move on, and it's the writing section for today. So it says, after student orally rehearses what the story was about, have them write to describe what happened in the story to demonstrate comprehension. Have student reread writing and edit for capitalization, spelling, and punctuation. Remember to use capital letters at the beginning of sentences and punctuation marks at the end of sentences. So after you have out loud retold the story that you read to an adult or sibling, then you're going to write down your retelling of the story. So you're going to write about the characters, the setting, problem, events, and solution. And it says, make sure you're using complete sentences, and then you need to reread what you write and make sure you have capitalization, spelling, and punctuation throughout. For some feedback that we gave to some of you for your work, week 1 of Packet 4, we did put, make sure you're rereading what you write, because sometimes I could understand what you meant, but the sentence as a whole didn't quite make sense. So when you reread what you write, that's how you catch those little mistakes and can correct them. So you are going to now write down your retelling of the fiction story you read and use that 5-finger retelling as a guide. Make sure you're checking for capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. That's what we're focusing on. Make sure we've got those elements. Okay, if we go to math, math is a little different today. So I'm going to do an example, and then I'll tell you what you're doing. So for the example, I'm going to say, for the example, so this is not the one in your packet, we're going to write 2 word problems that equal 10. A word problem is where it's a math problem, but it's almost in a little story. And you have to solve for something in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to write 2 word problems in which you have to figure out the elements that will give you 10. So 10 is what they should be equaling. So for our first word problem, I'm going to think of who I want to be in it. So I'm going to say, Mr. Overton and I were sharing Skittles. So, and I am completely making this up. I am creating this from my brain. All I know is that, whoops, it's not word problems, it's number sentences. So, please forgive me. We are going to reread. This is why we reread. We catch problems or mistakes. So it says, write at least 2, I'm just going to tell you what your packet problem is. Write at least 2 different number sentences that equal 15. So a number sentence would look something like this. Now it says we have to write 2 different ones, so that's why I did 2, and they have to equal 15. So I'm going to put 15 at the end. And I'm going to say you could either have them both be addition. So I'm putting one number plus another number equals 15 for both of them, but they have to be different. If you say a number plus a number equals 15 here, you have to use different numbers down here. You can't write the same problem twice. That's not showing me 2 different number sentences. Or you could have one of them be addition and one of them be subtraction. The only thing you have to have is it has to equal 15. So that's up to you. And if you need to draw dots underneath to make sure that it adds up to 15, go ahead and do that. Remember, we've learned about this. This is one of our parts, another one of our parts, and that will give us our whole. It's a part whole problem. We have the whole. Your job is to give us the parts. So like I said, you can do that with 2 addition problems, an addition and a subtraction problem, but it has to equal 15. So you can use pictures underneath to help you solve that, pictures to the side, 10 frames, anything that will help you solve. So you had to come up with 2 different number sentences that equal 15. It says optional. Can you think of more? If so, write as many as you can. So this is a choice. You have to make 2 different number sentences that equal 15, but then it gives you a choice to see if you can think of more that equal 15, more number sentences that give you 15. And if you can, write as many as you can. So see how many different number sentences you can come up with that give you the whole of 15, that equal 15. Then it says optional. Watch the WHRO Learn to Grow segment from 1:15 to 1:30 and then practice what was talked about in today's segment. That's those daily TV programs put on by the Virginia Department of Education to give us some content and learning through those stations. That's from 1:15 to 1:30, and then you can practice whatever is discussed in that segment. Now it's time to head to content. And as we've said, content is the new information. In that subject area, we're getting new information. Reading, writing, and math, we're kind of reviewing things that we've already discussed. In content, this is new stuff. So it says, set us free. Look at the map. It shows the path that English settlers took to get from England to Jamestown. What do you notice about the map? What do you wonder? About how long do you think the voyage, which means the trip, took to get across the Atlantic Ocean? So how long do you think it took them to get across the ocean to get to Jamestown from England? What do you think people on the ship did the whole time? What do you think they ate and drank? When they weren't working, what do you think they did? So let's look at that picture first. We're going to look at the map, and then we're going to read those questions that you need to answer based on the map. So let me get there, and then I will share my screen. Okay. So right here. Look at that long distance that they traveled. All that ocean that they had to cross. Look at all the pieces of the map. Think about what you notice and what do you wonder. They're coming from over here, and they're sailing across the ocean to right here. This is about where Jamestown was. See, it says Virginia right here. And then to get back home, they would go all the way back across here. So after looking at this map and seeing that long distance that they had to travel, let's look back at those questions. What do you notice about the map? What do you wonder? About how long do you think the voyage, which is a trip, took to get across the Atlantic Ocean? So that big ocean that they had to sail across to get from England to Jamestown, that's the Atlantic Ocean. So think about how long you think it took them to get across the Atlantic Ocean. What do you think people on the ship did the whole time? What do you think they ate and drank? When they weren't working, what do you think they did? So this is all things that you're just brainstorming. That means you're looking at that picture of the map and you're thinking about the answers to these questions based on the information in front of you on the map. You can write down these answers if you want, or you can just discuss them with someone with you. Brainstorm what you think those answers might be based on the map. That says, look at the next map. Add a title to the map. Label the map legend. Add a compass rose and the cardinal directions. So let's look at the next map. Okay. So right here, we've got a map that's very similar to the one that you looked at. You need to come up with a title for this map. You need to fill out the map legend, excuse me. So when we see the X, where is that? Is that England or Jamestown? You would write that next to it. Then it says for Jamestown, what picture is on Jamestown? What symbol, what map symbol is where Jamestown is? Whatever map symbol is drawn where Jamestown is, you need to draw it right here. What does this symbol mean? What is that? Write it here. And what do you think these dots mean? What do you think they're representing in our map? And you would write that next to it. So this is the path that English settlers took from England to Yorktown or the Jamestown area. So you are filling in the map legend. You are writing a title for this map. And then you could do this down here. You are making a compass rose. Remember, our compass rose looks like this. And we have a direction here, 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 and here. Think about our rhyme. Not a rhyme, a little trick to remember our cardinal directions. Never eat soggy waffles. So let's see if you can use that to help you fill in your compass rose with those cardinal directions. So that also needs to be on your map somewhere. Let's double check that we have everything that it asked for. Look at the next map, add a title to the map, label the map legend, add a compass rose in the cardinal directions. Perfect. So your job on that next page is to write a title, to fill in the map legend correctly, and then to add a compass rose with the cardinal directions. Never eat soggy waffles. See if that'll help you out. After you've done that, it says to read pages 58 and 59 about the Declaration of Independence. So I'm going to read it to you, and then you need to try and read it to yourself or to a family member. So pages 58 and 59. No more English rule. Being ruled by faraway Great Britain had its problems. So this is after a lot of people have sailed across that Atlantic Ocean to come to Jamestown, and we said Norfolk, Richmond, Jamestown, these were all places that a lot of people went to. They sailed away from England or Great Britain and came to Virginia. So being ruled by faraway Great Britain had its problems. The colonists paid taxes to the English king but had no say in the laws being made. Many colonists did not like this. Some colonists got very angry, so Britain sent soldiers to keep the peace. More fights broke out and even more soldiers came. Finally, in 1776, many colonists decided to break away from the king and start a new country. a group of colonists wrote a letter called the Declaration of Independence. So, and right here it says, word to know, declaration, a very important statement. So it's a very important statement about being independent. Set us free. The Declaration told the King of England that the colonists were no longer part of the British Empire. It said that Americans deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The king was angry. The writers of the Declaration of Independence talked about every word in their letter. How did all their hard work change America? So, basically what it's talking about is, like I said, as time went on, after the first settlers landed in Virginia and developed the first permanent settlement of Jamestown, more and more people started sailing across the Atlantic Ocean away from Great Britain, which is where England is, and they started coming over to Virginia. It frustrated them when they were living in Virginia, but technically the king all the way in England was in charge of them and telling them how much they should pay for taxes, what laws they could follow, what they could do, and he lived so far away. So that was very frustrating for them. And England sent soldiers over because the people in Virginia were getting so angry that they had to pay money to the king in England and they had to follow all of their rules when they didn't even live in Virginia. So people got together and decided so a group of the colonists in Virginia got together and they decided that they were going to write a letter called the Declaration of Independence. That means that they're saying, we don't want to be ruled by England anymore. We don't want to be under your rule. We want to be our own people and our own country. So it told the King of England that the colonists were no longer part of the British Empire. It said that Americans deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So they're saying, we are not a part of England anymore. We are our own country. We're going to create our own laws, and we are no longer doing what you say. So it's saying that it's them breaking away from Great Britain and the King of England. So this made the king very angry. He didn't like that they were wanting to start their own way without following his rules and paying taxes or money to him. So let's double check. After that, it says, add new information to the KLEW chart. It might be new learning, evidence of something they thought that you knew, or something that you are now wondering. Okay, perfect. I think there is one more page that they want us to read. I just don't think that they specifically said that. So we're going to read this. This next page that we're going to read, it breaks down the Declaration of Independence. So that's that letter that they wrote to the king saying that they didn't want to be a part of Great Britain anymore. They want to be their own country. So let's look at this. The Declaration of Independence. So, Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is a document written in 1776. It said the United States was a free and independent country. The Declaration told about the rights of every U.S. citizen. So it was saying that they are breaking away from England and that their new country was going to be called the United States of America, and that everyone that is a U.S. citizen has certain rights. Why was it written? In 1776, many American colonists were unhappy with British rule. They wanted to form their own country. The Declaration of Independence told the world that the United States was its own nation. Who wrote the Declaration? Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence over the summer of 1776. Jefferson was part of a committee of 5 men. They were Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, John Adams, and Robert Livingston. What the Declaration means. The Declaration of Independence says that all people have certain rights. Governments should protect these rights. If they don't, people have the right to change the government. The Declaration today. Today, the Declaration of Independence is held at the National Archives. It is shown under thick glass. People can look at one of the most important documents in American history. And we know a glossary gives us some of the tricky or bold words in a text that we read and tells us what they mean. So a committee is a group of people chosen to discuss things and make decisions for a larger group. So it said Thomas Jefferson was in a committee of people that wrote the Declaration of Independence and came up with its ideas. A document is a piece of paper that contains important information. Independent means not relying on something or someone else. A nation is a group of people with the same language, customs, and government. Colonist is a person who settles in a place that is controlled by another country. A right is something the law allows people to do, such as the right to vote or the right to speak freely. And a citizen is a member of a country or state who has the right to live there. So I highly recommend, if you ever have the chance to go to the National Archives in Washington, D.C., it is very, very cool. They have lots of important documents from our history there, and it's very safe. They're under thick glass. There's people there to protect it, and it's a very old document, so you can look through the glass and the paper is very faded. It's very old. It's from 1776. So it's very, very cool, and it can kind of give you a lot of insight about our nation's history. So if you ever have the chance to go to the National Archives in Washington, D.C., it's very cool. So after doing that, we need to complete more of our KLEW chart, which is right here. So you should have some information already on it from yesterday. Today we're going to add to it. So after learning about the Declaration of Independence and the different things that we read about today, you need to write something that you know. So what do I think I know? Then what did I learn? What is my evidence? That means, how did I learn it? What proof do I have? What I am still wondering. So you need to add something to each of these columns after we've read what we read today and after we've gotten the information that we went over. So add to your KLEW chart. We'll be continuing to add to that throughout the week. And oh, I hear Coco moving back there. Let's see what she's doing. Oh, Coco. Okay. Let's double check. I think that's it for today, but I just want to double check. Yes. So that's all of your work for today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Like I said, at the end of the week, send me 2 things from each subject, 8 in all, and we'll be able to put your name in for that raffle, which is awesome. And yes, if I can help you in any way, please let me know. You guys are doing great. I've loved to see your work that's been turned in, and I've loved just watching you still focus on learning, even though we're at home and can't be together. I'm excited for our Zoom call later today at 5:30, and I'm really looking forward to the field day. Opening ceremony is May 7th, and field day is on May 8th, although you can do it whenever works best for your family. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I love you and I miss you. Have a good one.